don't get distracted. Just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. That's what the sheikh is for. Nothing else. As you can see, the matter could not be more simple. And you know, the people don't know anything about that on the subject. When in defining what the dhikr is, they give you such a monumental list of conditions on this and the other and the other, and you have to visualize this, and you have to visualize that, and you have to do the other, and you have to do the other. All you have to do is to love. All you have to do is to use your heart. You can do it with love of Allah, you can do it with fear of Allah. It's more intuitive to do it with love of Allah, but some people, they can do it with fear of Allah. Because both have the power of bringing to presence. You bring to presence, the presence of Allah comes from your heart. Your heart, when you call upon the beloved, it becomes present. You can do it right now if you want. Cancel your mind, cancel your emotions, call upon your beloved. Just imagine a Maria, that is your beloved, and you start saying, Maria, Maria. The word of your beloved is sweet to your mouth. You want to say it even when you don't, because the sound of her name, it feels you. You can't stop doing it. You don't want to say anything other than her name. Everything around you reminds you of her. You look at the white of the walls and you will say, this is the same color as the dress she was wearing the first time I saw her. This is the same smell as when we were in that room, etc., etc. Everything reminds you of her. Everything. So when you say the name Maria, then everything goes. Now, when you say the name of Allah, you say it with that same intensity. Now, try to call upon your mother, for example. Close your eyes, just like halwa, just shut the senses, and just feel about her, and you feel her presence. You can feel her presence closer to you than even if you're sitting down with people around you. You can have people around you, and you can feel your mother more presence than their presence. Now, if the presence of your mother can come to you in the distance, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala multiply that by 100. Every time you walk towards him, he works towards you. The way you love Allah, you cannot love, you cannot give that intensity to anything in dunya. Impossible. But with Allah, you can go all the way. And what does it mean all the way? All the way means to love so much, to throw so much, to open yourself so much, that the only thing left for you to do is to die. The abandonment is so complete that only just the last breath is given. And to that annihilation of the self, the name is given as fana fila. And then something happens. And in that something happening is not an end, but it is truly an arrival. And that's why many sheikhs consider, and then now you're going to start. So it's not seen as, and then you have arrived there, and therefore that's it, you've done. No. Sheikh Darkawi said, it takes about 3-5 weeks to achieve fanafila. If the person doesn't achieve fanafila, then throw him out of the tariqah, because obviously he is not sincere. Imagine, it's not a difficult thing. I made it incredibly difficult, but it's not difficult. It's not that nobody, I am not qualified, everybody. If you can love, then you are qualified. Everybody who has a heart is qualified. There is no previous condition of anything except probably this ultra-rationalistic, and you're Western European, you will have a little bit more difficult, but only in the beginning, because then what turns into a difficulty at the beginning becomes an easiness at the end. And I will explain this thing later as we continue with these classes. But the intensity, to gain more and more intensity, becomes a goal. And with that goal comes knowledge. At every stage, you obtain knowledge, which is what keeps you going. And we will speak about the makams that come associated with this. So it's that increase in knowledge. It doesn't come in linear way, but like stairs. Hal, makan, hal, makan. Hal is the vertical movement. Makam is the sustaining of that knowledge, only to bring you to another hal, like stairs, makams. And we will see how this thing happens and how do you achieve them and how do you want them. If you have successfully been capable of calling upon someone you love and you have felt the presence without the necessity to use words, if you have done it successfully, then you know how to do dhikr. And all we are going to do is to, first of all, find out the organ that is doing the labor. And that is the heart. And second, how to activate the heart, how to push it forward. In the next talk, I'm going to speak to you about loving more. This is the idea of, you say, love Allah, and then you start loving Allah. At first, you will struggle to eliminate the head, silence the head. It takes a bit of time, but everybody succeeds. I have not seen one person failing. And then you get rid of the emotions just as well, so that you concentrate on your heart. And then, since the task is to love Allah, you go as far as you can. Then you meet the Sheikh, and the Sheikh comes and tells you, love more. Then at that point, you think, I don't know how to love more. This is like everything. Well, this is where you need a Sheikh. Because the Sheikh will teach you how to go further. And how to go further and further and further and further. That's all there is. There is nothing more. Everything is just on the lines. Sheikh Tarkawi writes in one of his letters, one of the ways of coming into the dhikr is to visualize the name of Allah, which is very noble and is quite fantastic if you want to do it. You don't need to. You don't need to. You can just go straight into love of Allah. Because what it could happen, which is what more obviously happens, is that some people are so stuck with visualizing the name of Allah that they forget about the dhikr itself. Instead of becoming a tool, it becomes a distraction. Because when I put some of these old fuqara in the dhikr, I have visualized 70%. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, in trying to do this thing, it just kept coming and going. And then I realized it becomes a veil in itself. The techniques become a veil because there's no technique in love. There are things that the Sheikh have said in order just to help you. And when it comes to enjoy it, but not to indulge, not to stay, not to hold, you keep going. These are the stages in which things operate. And you can see that somebody who learns tasawwuf by reading a book will focus on the wrong things. And they will tell you things of that nature. Like in order to arrive to Hanafila, what you have to do, you have to visualize the thing. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's got no idea of what he's saying. It's like somebody who says to you, he sees a penalty in a football match. And he said, in order to score a goal, you have to take your hands and put the ball in front of the goalkeeper, and then you kick. He doesn't understand that this is an exception and this is a penalty, and you could score or not score, but that's not football. And something as absurd as that, it will show you this person has never seen a football match in his life. He's read something He's read a section of football and he thinks he knows what football is. Well, there is a lot of that in Tasawwuf, unfortunately. I was visiting in Pakistan, and it happened to be that one of the greatest sheikhs, his father had been the sheikh, the great father was a sheikh, and the great grandfather had one of the family inheritance sheikh. But he had a large following, about 250,000 followers in Pakistan, and almost as many more in the West, in Pakistanis who live abroad, in United States, England, Britain, and so on. Well, I mean, he came very close to me because his daughter became my murid, and that was quite an strange thing, but it happened automatically and without any desire. She started to come to me for guidance. It's not something strange, because to learn from your father and the sheikh is something difficult. To teach your children is the most difficult thing that you can possibly imagine. So I kept going to his house, and I stayed with him and several times. And the conversation came about fanafila, because we were discussing how to do things and so on. And so I said, so what did you do? And the sheikh was looking at me like I was speaking in Chinese or something. And he spoke perfect English. And I suddenly realized he doesn't have any idea of what I'm discussing. And then the silence was a little bit embarrassed. And then the son, who obviously was the next one in line, he answered. And he said, well, in order to achieve fanafila, what you have to do is, first of all, you have to eliminate the first layer of the heart. And once you eliminate the first layer of the heart, then you eliminate the second layer of the heart, that is followed by the third layer. And the fourth layer until the seventh layer is, when the seventh layer is removed, then you arrive to fanafila. Literally, that's what he was saying. He obviously had read this thing in a book. It meant nothing to him. He was speaking about fanafila like somebody will speak about cooking or the weather. When you ask a Sufi about fanafila, and he's one of the people, just look at his eyes, because you will find a spark. And then, you know, this is one of the people. Because nobody will speak about the beloved. No drunk person will speak about wine without that spark in the eyes. Like you are speaking about the most intimate, more glorious, more valuable thing of yourself, the most beloved thing of yourself. You can't do it without that spark in the eye. But when the person is speaking to you like kind of clinical, rationalistic, reading in a book a story, you know, have no idea. Well, and then I realized, how can you have a tariqah of several 100,000 people and you don't know what fanafila is? It's like calling for a banquet, for a big meal, but there is no food. Everything is there, but there's no food. And that's the state of the affairs. So I'm telling you these things so that you understand how the things of distraction could be anything other than Allah. So in avoiding the false ways, we will discover what we want. It's like La ilaha illallah. What La ilaha illallah says about Allah, that says no God, nothing. Remove everything. And when you remove everything, Allah emerges. And here the Dhikr is saying, remove everything. Remove everything, and the heart emerges naturally. Don't get distracted, and the heart will emerge naturally. Clean the path, and the heart will emerge naturally. And all you have to do is to activate that heart that is always there. It's not about I'm not capable. I promise to you, you are. You have bad habits, that's all. Because everybody who has a heart can do it. Because once upon a time, you were called to an assembly. And Allah says, Alastu bi rabbikum? And you said, Naam. So you have a heart. And upon that memory, and to go back to that memory, is the task of life, is to recover ourselves, truly, to go back to that primal element of ourselves that constitutes who we are. So I think this is enough for today. We have distinguished rational intelligence, emotional intelligence, and akal. Our task is akal, that comes from the heart and is distinguished between these other two. And we are recognizing dhikr as the instrument that brings us closer to Allah, which is in a way closer to ourselves, in the sense of discovering the heart, finding who we are. And from there, once all these things is removed, to move into the dhikr that will bring all the benefits to you. So I leave it here, and we will continue next week. And the topic will be love more. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.